I'm Nadine. I'm going to talk about gay marriage. I've always wondered why people are so opposed to same-sex marriage. I always believe the idea is pointless and discriminating, so I thought it would blow over soon. However, I had not looked much into it until now. I found that same-sex marriage is still legal, not legal nationwide. I also found that same-sex marriage benefits the economy. Homosexual couples are discriminated against, and not allowing same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. I've come to the conclusion that legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide would benefit our country as a whole. Same-sex marriage is good for our economy. Mayor Bloomberg of New York City stated that equality has made our city more open, inclusive, and free, and has also helped to create jobs and support our economy. Just 1 year after same-sex marriage was legalized in New York, the state of New York, it produced $259 million economic impact in New York City alone. New York City also made $16 million in taxes. It is extremely ironic that Bill Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996 because supporters of the bill claim that federally legalizing gay marriage would cost taxpayers more money to provide them the same benefits. In Massachusetts, same-sex marriage generated about $111 million over the first 5 years that it had been legalized, according to CNN Money. Bloomberg reported that marriage makes people more financially stable and less likely to qualify for government assistance. Therefore, legalizing same-sex marriage would save the government hundreds of millions per year in welfare funding. According to Josh Barra, a writer in New York who specializes in economics, finance, and politics. It was reported by the Congressional Budget Office that legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide would have a beneficial impact on the nation's budget crisis. Economist Adam Stevenson estimates that legalizing same-sex marriage would bring in between $20 million and $40 million a year in taxes. Many opposers of same-sex marriage try to trick people into thinking giving marriage benefits to all would hurt the economy, when the truth is clear that legalizing same-sex marriage would bring in extra money for the economy. Not allowing same-sex marriage is discrimination. It infers that homosexual couples are inferior to heterosexual couples. The Constitution says all are created equal, so whether people are born gay or become gay over time, they are still equal. Since gay people are equal to straight people, they should be given the same rights and not be discriminated against. Not allowing same-sex marriage is also unconstitutional. Proposition 8 was a California proposition written by the opposition of same-sex marriage. If passed, it would not allow same-sex marriage in California. It was actually passed on November 4th, 2008, regardless of the fact that the majority of justices of the California Supreme Court confirmed that same-sex marriage was protected by the Constitution of May in the same year. Proposition 8 was deemed unconstitutional by a federal appeals court in 2010. Judge Stephen Reinhart wrote in the decision that Proposition 8 serves no purpose and has no effect other than to lessen the status and human dignity of gays and lesbians in California, and to officially reclassify their relationships and families as inferior to those of opposite-sex couples. A marriage establishes rights and gives people benefits. Since everyone is created equal, same-sex couples have the right to the same benefits provided by marriage. When marriage is conducted by a religious authority, then they can limit their services to only heterosexual couples. However, since church and state is separate, the government cannot deny marriage to a homosexual couple. The legalization of marriage in all states would finally give citizens true freedom of religion. Legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide will create a more fair, equal, and free country. Thank you.
Well, I appreciated the way that you started off, because you give us a reason why you were interested in talking about this and discussing some elements of the controversy. I do get a pretty clear idea about what your point of view is, although the proposition needs to be phrased a little bit more distinctly. I think you kind of bury it in the middle of your argument. There is a proposition there that it would be beneficial, but a lot of the arguments that you present don't have anything to do with whether or not it would be beneficial. For instance, the whole argument about it being constitutional or discriminatory doesn't necessarily show that legalizing gay marriage would have some social benefit. And I think that it means that some of the points that you go off on are off target to the point that you started with as the main point of the presentation. I think you need a clear layout of what the secondary structure is going to be. You had a pretty good statement to start with that there's going to be some economic benefit, and there's this estimate about $250 million in New York. I think it needed to be explained a little bit more, because it sounds like almost all of what you're talking about here is related to some kind of welfare issue, and I didn't hear any proof that suggested that homosexual marriage was moving people off welfare. It sounded like that's kind of what the assumption was, but the documentation on that seemed very conclusionary, and I think that you need to have Mayor Bloomberg, for instance, gives that one statistic, or I should say gives that one estimate there, and it's really not clear what that's based on. If it's based on they paid out less as a consequence of people being more accountable to one another, that needed to be cited a little bit more clearly. The constitutional issue, you kind of give us an outline of what happened with Proposition 8, although I'm not exactly sure that some of it deals with the state constitution, some of it deals with the federal constitution. The ultimate Supreme Court ruling here was a little bit more fuzzy about this issue than you appear to be. You basically come down to the argument that people are being treated unequally, and therefore that's against the law or it's unconstitutional. People are treated unequally all the time for a variety of reasons, and it doesn't violate the Constitution. Otherwise, I would be driving the nicest damn car you could imagine, because it's just not fair, that somebody has more money than me, or somebody's got a bigger car than me, or a nicer looking car. Nobody has a nicer looking car than me. That's not an issue. So I think you need to, like I said, you've got this value issue that's kind of built in there, and I think you're going off on a whole variety of tangents. The supporting structure seems to repeat itself. There aren't distinct labels and signposts on those points, so I think that's a little bit problematic. There was some good statistical information on the first couple of points, and I like that you did have some testimony on those first points. After that, other than Bloomberg and the judge who made the one ruling, everything else seems to be kind of an assertion or a premise, and I think you need better evidence than that. It sounded like you were rushing the whole time that you were giving the presentation, and you've got plenty of time to speak, so pace yourself a little bit more effectively. All right, thank you.